Now, we'll be the first to say, here at Fox 41, we're pretty serious about the news. But when we came on the air 25 years ago, serious news was the last thing we were interested in doing. As a matter of fact, the original idea was if we did the news at all, it would only be good news. Obviously, this was a fairly limiting concept, but that didn't matter much because Channel 41 wasn't exactly the CNN of its day anyway.
We didn't have very much news. We depended upon the teletype. We got a local weather from the United States Weather Bureau, and that was it. We depended on other times to use our public service spots, and we would run spots in our news, but our news consisted of standing in front of a camera and reading the news.
We'll have that and other stories closer to home in a moment.
But in 1977, WDRB took its first small step toward a more serious attitude toward the news with the airing of our first locally produced documentary, A River Gone Wild.
At that time, over 60% of the city was underwater. From Barrett Avenue in the east down to Shawnee Park in the west, Broadway was a virtual lake. The trauma of the event was unforgettable. Thousands had to abandon their homes, often going out by boat, with all their possessions left behind. There was a power failure, and the city was left in darkness.
A River Gone Wild was well received by the critics and the public, winning the station's first Louis Award for Excellence in Broadcasting, and paving the way for more special news projects to come.
It was a challenge that we all loved. I think our manager wanted to do these things because he wanted to integrate the station into the community, and he wanted to feel a part of the community, and this was one way to do it.
In 1980, our commitment to the news grew even stronger with the addition of the independent network news to our nightly schedule. At the time, this 30-minute wrap-up of national and international news was the closest an independent station like us could come to having its own network newscast, and it did succeed at winning a substantial audience for us at its revolutionary time of 10 p.m. The only problem was there was no local coverage, because, quite simply, WDRB had no local news gathering operation. But then, one day in 1989, that all changed forever with the inception of the News at 10.
WDRB had a great news beginning, but to do our own, to build a staff, to build a newsroom, to buy the equipment, to get involved in half-inch tape, which was fairly new at that particular time, and then to do it at a time period that had just been tested here but not really tried on a local level was just such an exciting idea.
I think the news has probably been the single most important thing that's been done at this station, because I don't think you're a complete television station until you have a news department. And in our case, we had a very definite niche to fill, and that was at 10 o'clock in the evening, where it's been shown by the ratings that the news has gotten that there is a very large audience that doesn't want to wait up till 11 to see the news. And if we could do a quality product, which we think we have done, that audience would watch at 10 o'clock news. And of course, we were very fortunate in the beginning to have Jim Mitchell and Loretta Harris kick it off, and we've had no loss of quality by having Don Schroeder sit in that chair. So through a set of fortuitous circumstances, we were able to acquire very credible anchor persons to get the news going.
We actually assembled everybody a month ahead of time, and we did real-time rehearsals every night. I mean, we conducted a news day. We went out and covered breaking news stories, did interviews, came back and edited them, and did it on real time at 10 o'clock at night on tape for a month, so that we knew exactly what we were doing. And on opening night on March 12th of 1990, it was just like we had been doing it for a month.
Now, the News at 10 with Jim Mitchell, Loretta Harris, meteorologist Tammy Garrison, and David Sullivan with sports.
Good evening, I'm Loretta Harris.
And I'm Jim Mitchell.
The News at 10 was an immediate success, and since its launch on March 12, 1990, WDRB's news organization has continued to make its mark, not only with the nightly news, but with an award-winning series of special telecasts focusing on issues of local interest.
One that we did, I thought we did a good job of, was sort of a town meeting here in the studio on health care reform. And this, of course, now they're getting ready to reform the reform, but back then 2 years ago, this was just a naive idea by Governor Brereton Jones, and we talked to him and brought him in and his people to explain it and pros and cons, and we just did it live in the studio, plus call-ins from the audience to ask questions about it, and that was a fun thing to do, to develop and devote a full hour, I think, to the discussion of a topic. Also, we've done some special half hours. Tuning the Macaulay was one of them, getting ready for the Tommy Tune show that was supposed to bring money in to help dress up the Macaulay Theater here in Louisville. We also did one on the cathedral when it was getting ready to open up in its new renovation process, and that was received by high acclaim and won a couple of awards. So we've been able to do some really fun things.
A little over 5 years after its debut, the News at 10 grew even bigger, expanding to a full hour and even getting a new name, the Fox News at 10. Why the Fox News at 10? Quite simply, it was to capitalize on our affiliation with a network that, for the past 10 years, has been our partner in rewriting the book on how to succeed in television.
Fox has really, the secret to their success, I think, is that they have tried to do programs that are a little different than the other three networks. They had several breakthrough shows like Married with Children and The Simpsons, and more recently The X-Files, which are considerably different than people were able to find on other stations. And as a result, I think Fox has the most unique brand in television. It's hard to pinpoint what a CBS show is or an ABC show or NBC show is, but I think viewers have a pretty good idea of what may be on the Fox network. This year, in addition to the regular season of NFL football, we will have the Super Bowl, we will have the World Series of baseball and the Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey. And for a network that didn't have sports a couple of years ago, that's a pretty big jump.
So there it is, the story of Louisville's Channel 41. It's never easy to compress 25 years into less than an hour, but we hope you've gotten at least a taste of the fun and excitement we've experienced as we've shared the past quarter century with you. After all, it's all of you who invite us into your homes day after day. And as we begin our second 25 years, we want to make sure that you always have a reason to check out what's happening on WDRB.
While there may be 500 channels, I don't think anybody in the world can program 500 channels well. And, you know, it's the uniqueness of a WDRB or the other local stations is that they can do local programming. And I think it's why we need to do the news, and we need to do things like University of Louisville sports and local programs that can't be duplicated by another source.
From here,
Channel 41, Louisville, where independence is fun.
to here,
Cool like us. Cool like us. Fox 41.
it's been a great ride. I'm Ray Foushee, and on behalf of all of us here at Fox 41, thanks for being with us, and good night.
Channel 41, a Silver Anniversary Scrapbook, is brought to you in part by Bell Sound, Louisville's telecommunications leader, and by Taco Bell, across the border.